Hello Kerbal, and welcome to a tutorial on building your base on an asteroid. Part 1. Okay, so by here you can see I've already got an asteroid. I've already captured it. This was from the tutorial on how to capture your asteroid, so go and watch that first if you haven't got your own asteroid and you don't know how. And you see as well, I've got it in orbit around Kerbal. I've got it in high orbit. I believe that if you're going to have an asteroid base, you'll want it in a high orbit. You don't want it close to Kerbal, because if you have it close to Kerbal, you might as well build a space station. But this outpost is going to be a deep space outpost where we can do a lot of deep space science. Okay, first things first, you need a solar array or something to power your asteroid, your experiments and everything else. So that's what we're going to build first. However, we need something to get it there, so we need to build a probe. You could do this as a manned mission, but I prefer to do it as a probe. And you can see I've got a probe core, a reaction wheel, an RCS tank, a fuel tank, and an engine. Now, to add to that, we need some solar panels, some power, so we can keep control of this thing. And don't worry about these, because I'm planning to use all stock parts of this. Even though I've got mods installed on this installation, I'll use all stock parts so as not to confuse you, so anyone with a fresh installation can follow this. Now we need the RCS blocks. Make sure you have the center of mass up and put the RCS blocks at equal distance. Now I'm going to put 16 RCS blocks on here. That way we can have extra control, and there's a good reason for that. Because I'm going to do a bit of a complex build for my solar array. You don't have to do complex, you can make your solar array quite simple. But I want to do something a bit special for my asteroid. Okay, now that's done, that's set up. We need something to attach it to the probe. And we can use the docking ports, the normal size ones. And put two up against each other. Then I'm going to attach some girders. And the reason for this is because it'll look like a solar array, as if they're attached to these struts. So we're going to use girders for that. Now at this point I tried to use the radial mount to attach another docking port to the top to make it look a bit better, but it's having none of it, so it'll have to be a straight on docking port to there. Of course we need something to attach this to the asteroid, so another docking port. And the claw. Now I'm going to put the claw on the end of that, but I want to be able to remove the solar arrays if I ever have to. So I'm going to leave that as a docking port on there. Right, here's the magic part. Mini docking ports. Now I'm going to have the solar arrays strutting out from the side of them docking ports, but I don't want to launch them strutting out as they are now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these struts on the top by here, and I'm going to put 4 on there so we can have the solar panels out at an extended distance. Again, used a couple of docking ports backed up against each other, and by there I've just angled them so they can use the Alt key to attach them to the nodes. Like here, I couldn't do it there. Angle the strut, use the Alt key, and it should magically attach, but you have to have them angled correctly. And this is the magic of this. Now I'm using the offset tools, the angle tool, rotation tool, and the offset tools. I'm going to position them center like this. And I've got snap angle on, switch that off to give fine control of them. And you can see what I'm doing there. I've got them attached to the side there, but I'm going to detach them from there and attach them to the bottom docking ports. And to do that, we'll have docking ports up on top of them and docking ports on the bottom, the junior ones, by the way. You see they won't attach to the bottom here. That's because I've got the node there connected to the other docking port. So I just attach them freely there and use the offset tool to make sure they're connected correctly. So they're roughly centered, to be too particular about it. But as I said, this is my build. You don't have to have this complexity. Now for the solar panels. Now I'm using the good Gigantor ones, and the idea of this is not only will they collect energy, but they will cover the asteroid, reducing the temperature. Because if you know anything about space, if you're in the sun, it's hot. If you're out the sun, it's freezing. So if we cover the asteroid, we'll reduce the heating on the asteroid, and the astronauts or Kerbal nodes can work safely. Now, it won't be a solar array without batteries, so I'm going to attach 4 batteries to this. And don't want to do that. I prefer to attach the batteries and rotate them so they're in center, so they're out of the way. Oh, didn't want 4 by there. The things you have to deal with this game. Control Z. And then let's try again. Okay, set the radial parts to 2, rotate, put in place. Again down here, if you hover over a 4 part, see, as I just hovered over there, it gave me 4 parts, so you'll have to change the amount of parts to 2. Okay, now the batteries are done, we can go to the next stage. As I said, you do not need to have this such complexity in your solar array. Just simply put some struts on there, or girders, and some solar panels. And that'll be good enough for any such build. Okay, now is the part where I'm going to put a cover over our solar arrays. So use a fairing, and this is required because of the aerodynamics of the game. I'm using the smallest one, medium ones, the smallest ones, because they will do for this. It's just to cover this. As soon as we're in space, we can get rid of this fairing. There you go, doesn't that look pretty? Okay, the things that I have forgotten though is docking ports on the side of the struts there, and just 2 docking ports on the probe. Can you see where I'm going with this? Those side docking ports I'm going to attach to the side of those struts, take them off, re-angle them, and put them on the other docking ports, so they're strutting out from that strut. Now I'm hoping by here that you all know how to build a rocket, how to get it into space, how to get it to an asteroid. Well, we'll show you how to get to an asteroid, but I'm hoping you know how to build a rocket and how to control it. So I'm just going to go through the fast forward of building this. And basically it's a simple rocket. It's not the largest. I would say it's a medium-sized rocket. We're going to set up an asparagus staging on it to ensure that we have enough delta V. Now to set up an asparagus staging, first off put symmetry to 2 and build the 2 rockets on the side. Now keep it at symmetry 2 while you're attaching these struts to make sure they don't wobble out of control or destroy your rocket, and attaching nose cones, which are needed for aerodynamics. Now at this point you can copy the part using Alt key and click on the decoupler, attach it to the other side, stage everything in the correct stage, and then attach a fuel pipe from one rocket to the other, and then from that rocket to the center tank. Always attach it to the bottom tanks to ensure that you get the safe balancing, because you don't want the fuel to be pumped to the top of the rocket and flip it over. Anyway, this is the main rocket. This is going to get us to the asteroid. All that's needed to be added is some winglets to ensure stability. You can attach reaction wheels to this rocket as well, the larger versions, but they're not required. And after attaching your launch stability enhancers, make sure all the staging is correct. I hope you know how to do the staging correctly and how asparagus staging works at this point. If not, just freeze the video and copy what is on the screen now. Okay, with everything done, well, in fact, not everything is done. You can see I've removed the fairing. I decided at this point we can use the medium-sized fairing and make this rocket look a bit more sleeker. Now it's going to bulge on the top, that's because of the struts. However, doesn't that look cool? That looks like a proper rocket. That's going to get us to the asteroid. One last thing, and this is the last thing, by the way. Okay, to stop your spacecraft wobbling between the large stages, attach some of these small girders, and in between them attach these struts. Very important, it helps with stability and stops rocket wobble. Now you see by here we're having problems with attachment. That sometimes happens, so just detach it, retry. Or I find sometimes just moving the girders or parts about can let the struts attach. Okay, now for the slightly tricky part, even if you have not got a complex solar array. Okay, first off, check where you are. You're on the equator of the planet, so that's very important, especially when you're launching to something at an inclination. Target the asteroid, and you see the orbit is at an angle, so we're going to have to account for that. Now, since we're on the equator, you can use the man as a guide because that's in an equatorial orbit, and you see the 2 points where the asteroid converge on the man. Those are when you're going to be able to launch, and you can use the 2 orbits to align and launch. So line up the man. You can double click on Kerbal to make sure the Kerbal is center of view, and once you've got the man lined up, line up the orbit of the asteroid like so. Now you see the point on this side of the planet where we're going to launch from. You can launch from the other side of the planet as well, but choose one or the other, it doesn't matter. Now if you once you've done that, you can look at the nav ball. You can see the target is on the nav ball. That's where the target is point at the moment, and that's the angle that we're going to have to launch at. And you can see that is on the south, which is on the top of the nav ball, and east, which is to the left. Now please note, north is on the bottom, south is on the top of the nav ball, east and west are the same. East is left, west is right. So we're going to have to turn left on the nav ball and point up on the nav ball, or pull back on your control keys. Anyway, I'm hoping that you know how to launch. A little bit of the thing about this though, Kerbal rotates at about, I can't remember, 400 meters per second or something like that, which means we're going to have to counteract the speed of the planet's rotation. Now I'll show you this in a minute. However, first off, we have to concentrate on getting our orbit correct. So you can see we're launching by here, and excuse the sounds, but while you launch, it is a good thing to go back and forth between map view to monitor your trajectory. Now I've clicked on the nav ball, you can see the orbit. That's because we're off-centered because the orbit of the planet is going sideways. So we have to kill that velocity of the planet. The best way to do that is just keep on pointing towards the target, or the angle, sorry, not the target, at which you want to launch at. Okay, so we got our apoapsis up. Now it's time to do our circularization maneuver node. And once you set that up, you can also see here that we've got the descending node and ascending node. And what you want to do is use the purple markers to adjust the angle of your orbit until they're close to 0, or on the worst case scenario, adjust the maneuver until they're as low as possible. As you can see, mine is quite close to 0, and with a little bit of adjusting, I will get it to 0. So at this point, I have to stress that the launch time is important to get close to 0, as if you follow my instructions or get lucky, you will get this close to 0. So now the maneuver node set up, we can adjust everything, and since we're in space, we can jettison the fairings and align to the maneuver node and get on our way, which we'll do a quick skip to. I'm sure you know how to do maneuver nodes these days. If not, I'm not sure. I don't think I've done a tutorial on maneuver nodes. They're easy enough to follow. And you see by here, I killed the maneuver node and kept on burning until we get our inclination correct with the orbit of the asteroid. And since we're in orbit, any changes in the inclination we can do during mid-burns towards the asteroid. So we see the asteroid is there. We want to create a maneuver node and try to intercept it on its travels. So I'm going to create a maneuver node here. Now, one thing I forgot to note, upon launch, you have to launch in the same direction of the orbit of the asteroid. And as you can see as well, we're a lucky guess. We know that the asteroid is going to arrive in that position, and we're pretty close. So what you have to do by here is fiddle with the maneuver node. Use the prograde, retrograde. If you have to, use the purple markers to try to get the angle correct. You can see them doing by here. If you get the inclination to 0, or NAA, which means not a number, then the inclination is correct. Just prograde and retrograde, and you can also move the maneuver node around to get a closer approach. Now, sometimes this can take a bit of fiddling, and sometimes you'll find that your maneuver nodes are jumping all around the place like that. I think I was lucky by here in that I was getting a close approach. If yours is jumping about, what you could do is burn your maneuver to get the closest that you can, and halfway towards the asteroid, halfway on the orbit, you can create another maneuver node and adjust that to get a closer approach. Okay, so a quick burn, and keep an eye out. I normally kill the maneuver node and complete the burn. Now, this does take some time to get used to. Make sure you keep the rocket pointing in the same direction as was the maneuver node. And you see by here, I think I've overburned slightly. Or perhaps I have not burnt enough. Also, you have the option of using the RCS, as I've just shown. If you use the H and N key, press the R key first to engage the RCS. Use the H N key. H is to use the RCS and burn forwards, and N is to burn using the RCS backwards. But by here I have to use the main rocket, and as you can see I'm separating the distance between them. I should have left the maneuver node up as a guide. Ooh, and you see using the RCS. Yep, I was right, we are close. Aha! You see the maneuver node jumping about a bit, so play with the RCS when you get close, because it takes a lot less fuel when you're further out to do any adjustments. Now I can fiddle with this for ages, and you can also use the I, J, K and L keys, and there to maneuver the control of the rocket to go up, down, left and right rather than turning it. This technique may help you to get a closer approach, but do not worry because you can do a mid-course correction, which is what we're going to do by here. I've accelerated time so we stop at one point, coming closer to the asteroid. And by here you can see our closest approach. I'm going to get the rocket to point prograde. That'll enable us to get proper control. And again, I'm going to use the RCS. But just keep an eye on the RCS fuel, because if you have as many thrusters as I have, you will lose quite a lot of fuel. Now again, using the H and N keys and I, J, K and L keys, use the H and N keys first. Get your distance as close as possible. As you can see it, we've got it in double figures, although it's flashing on and off. Do not worry, if you get it flashing on and off and you get a close approach in that flashing, sometimes you will get your close approach. But everything is looking good for this, so all we have to do now is accelerate time towards our intercept. Which we're doing by here. Keep an eye out for the asteroid. Distance is the key, because at the moment you're traveling very fast compared to the asteroid. So point your rocket retrograde in preparation, otherwise you'll shoot past the asteroid. Or if you're at quite a large distance and maybe it's not showing the distance as it is by here, use your rocket, reduce the speed to 0. And then what we will do is point towards the asteroid, burn towards it, so we can get closer. Because first things first, you have to cancel your speed off, enable that you'll be in the same orbit as the asteroid, and then you can adjust your position relative to the asteroid, i.e. getting closer. Okay, so here we are, point directly at the asteroid, burn towards it. If you can get the prograde vector as close to the center of the asteroid as possible. And now it's just a matter of accelerating time. You see, we got the closest approach. You may have to do that technique a couple of times, kill your speed, head towards the asteroid again, kill your speed again, head towards the asteroid. No matter how many times you have to do that, it will work. Just be ready when you get your close approach, kill your speed, so you don't zoom past the asteroid, which I had done in the Capturing the Asteroid tutorial. By here you can see me chasing the retrograde marker towards the asteroid, so we're heading towards it. And now it's just a matter of heading towards the asteroid. At this point, arm your claw. And what you want to do is, well, you can at this point just hit the asteroid. I've chosen the opposite side of the rocket to impact the asteroid. That way we have this nice flat area which we can have the solar panels covering. At this point I decided to dock the claw onto that side of the asteroid, but there's one thing. I want to do this in the sunlight. So rotating the asteroid around, using the magic of time acceleration and video speed up, we can get this asteroid, we can get the solar panels on the other side, attach it to the asteroid. This should be very easy for you to do. It's just a matter of using your target speed, get your ship to the area you want, use the target speed and the retrograde marker to kill your speed. Again, like we did with when you were trying to get as close to the asteroid. Now it's just a matter of aligning the prograde vector with the asteroid. Align the rocket with the asteroid, or at least the claw. Make sure you hit control from here on the claw. I think I did show you how to do that. And try to get the prograde as best as possible using the I, J, K and L keys on the center of the asteroid. Now hopefully you know how to do all this from your docking techniques, as I suppose some of you have watched the how to build a space station tutorial. Now by here, do not approach the asteroid any faster than 0.5 meters per second. And carefully come in, because otherwise you'll just bounce off and damage your craft. And hey presto, we are done. Okay, by here, this is the part that I wanted to do myself. You don't have to do this, but you can do. Now I've set this to control from the side docking port. That means the rocket may look weird controlling it from the side, but it works. And all I'm doing is attaching it to the struts there, decoupling that, control from the strut docking port you want to connect to the end of the strut. Angle the solar panels correctly. Make sure you have the docking port you want to attach to targeted, and slowly align. If you're unsure, have a look for a docking tutorial. I have got one online as a video, or perhaps look at someone else's docking tutorial. There you go, set as target, and there you go, attached. Now I can detach the probe, but now this is built. Our solar array is built. And I was going to get this probe back attached to the asteroid, but I ran out of RTS fuel. So I deorbited that and it fell to Kerbal. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It helps out quite a lot. And if you want to see more of these videos, because I'm going to do some more of these tutorials, at least on this base for the time being, hit that subscribe button if you're not already. And look at this. The solar panels will provide power for the asteroid base, plus they're also covering the asteroid, reducing its overall temperature. Isn't that awesome engineering? Anyway, all I'm going to say here is thank you for watching. I'm Orbator. Trust me, I'm an engineer.